So in 2024, I tried hard to prioritize what I felt was important. So throughout the year, I brought in various things to actually help make my life better. And I'm not even being dramatic when I say that these 10 things actually made my day-to-day life better. Some in big ways, some in small ways, but better nonetheless. And they were so good in 2024 that I will absolutely be bringing them into my life in 2025. And I wanted to talk about them with you guys today. So let's go to the bedroom. Let's talk about sleep. In 2024, this was really the first year that I actually took my sleep seriously. I really just wanted to optimize my sleep as much as possible because I was tired, like literally pun intended. And I was tired of waking up every single morning feeling like I kind of didn't even sleep, even though I got like 8 hours of sleep. And there's obviously so many different lifestyle habits that you can implement into your day-to-day life to help your sleep, but there are a couple products that helped me a ton in this whole realm. I didn't even know how much I needed this little alarm clock. This isn't even really so much of an alarm clock, it's more of like a sound and light machine. It's called the Hatch. And so the first night that I tried this out, I tried sleeping with the sound of soft rain trickling down a window. And the most wild thing happened because I wear an oura ring, which we will be talking about a little bit later. And I saw that I was actually sleeping a lot deeper and I fell asleep like significantly faster than I did without this beautiful little sound machine. And not only does this make me fall asleep quicker, but it also wakes me up in the most peaceful way possible, which in turn just makes my entire morning routine and honestly my entire day better. Because how many times have you woken up from your phone alarm and it's given you a heart attack? I would wake up with a racing heart with so much anxiety, and it just started off my morning in like the worst way possible. But with the Hatch, it has a light feature. It's called like the sunrise light, and it will slowly start to fade in anywhere between like 10, 15, even 30 minutes before your desired wake up time. So it makes it feel like I'm actually waking up naturally and not like I'm being jolted awake with a really loud alarm. And as far as the alarms go for this, they have an entire library of like a million different options of different types of alarms. I actually use the forest birds. So I wake up with chirping birds. Like, what could be better? So I honestly would have never expected that an alarm clock would make my days better, but being able to fall asleep and wake up in a more peaceful way, I'll take it. Now you cannot underestimate the power of good sheets. So these are Cozy Earth sheets, and I gotta give full credit to my mom because she's the reason why I discovered these. When she got a full set of these sheets, she could not stop raving about them. And so the next time I went over to her house, I need to see what these sheets were all about. And the first time I just, touched them, I gasped because they were seriously the softest sheets I had ever felt. And I immediately went back home, and what do you think I did? Yes, I ordered a full set for myself. The fabric is 100% bamboo, and while I've tried other bamboo sheets in the past, these are even softer than the other bamboo sheets that I've tried. I don't know how they do it, but whatever they're doing, they need to keep doing it. So this might sound super dramatic, but I swear, and I'm not the only one because my boyfriend also agrees, I literally sleep better when I have these sheets on my bed. These definitely made my year much, much, much better. So I've officially had my Oura ring now for a full year, and I've worn it pretty much every single day. If I had to give an award to the product that changed my life the most in 2024, I really do feel like the Oura ring probably would get the #1 spot because this little thing has made me so much more self-aware when it comes to my body and how things affect it. So to give you a little overview, the Oura ring essentially tracks your sleep, your recovery, and your activity levels. So it'll track obviously your sleep, your body temperature, your heart rate. It will take that data and essentially translate it to give you an overview of what is happening with your body. And I think the most interesting part of the Oura ring is actually being able to tangibly see how alcohol in particular affects my body and affects my sleep. Because seeing how alcohol does affect my body, it has actually completely changed the way I consume it. Weekly, I would probably have 1 or 2 drinks on the weekend, but I noticed that when I would have even just 1 drink, my heart rate would spike and it would significantly impact the quality of the sleep that I would have that night. And that morning I would look back at my Oura ring data and just kind of be shocked at how even just 1 glass of alcohol really affected my entire body. And so it just made me so much more aware of what I was actually putting into my body. It almost subconsciously made me choose differently when I was presented with the option to drink or not to drink. When you see those numbers and you see the actual physical changes in front of you, it's hard to ignore and it's hard not to make those changes, at least for me. I also love this thing for tracking my period because it tracks your body temperature. So it will tell you exactly where you are at in your cycle. So I will know the exact day that I'm getting my period just from this ring, which is honestly another hugely life-changing tool. So coffee has always been a huge part of my day-to-day life. When I started to notice that at 3 p.m., I barely could function because I had no energy whatsoever, I wanted to try cutting out caffeine in coffee specifically completely out of my life and see if that made any difference. And it honestly completely changed my life. It's been about 5 months since I've had a caffeinated coffee, and I've noticed that I'm actually able to sustain my energy for the entire day, and I just don't have that 3 p.m. slump anymore. I knew that I wasn't gonna cut out caffeine completely, but I wanted to incorporate it in a much softer way, and I do that by drinking matcha instead. The caffeine spike with matcha and the caffeine spike with coffee are just completely different. So the caffeine spike with coffee goes up and then it crashes, but with matcha, it actually goes up and then it slowly descends like this. So you don't get that crash that you get with coffee. So all that to say, my favorite matcha is from Pique. And what I love so much about their matcha is that it's creamy, it's not bitter, and it just tastes so good. And I love that they come in these little individual sachets because it has the perfect amount. You just dump it into your glass, you blend it up with a little bit of hot water, you can add some milk if you want to, and then you have a delicious matcha at home. And honestly, the way that I make my matcha is 20 times better than any cafe that I've been to. So I almost always make matcha at home, which actually also has been saving me money at coffee shops because I'm not buying coffees all the time. So let me show you how I make my matcha. So first things first, we're gonna boil some water. While this is boiling, we're actually gonna make my homemade coconut milk. I'll make a little batch every once in a while, and this is, I would say, is what takes the matcha from like here to here. So I just take some shredded coconuts and some dates. So I actually don't measure anything, which makes it even easier. So I'm just going to pour in like a pretty solid amount of the coconut. So now I'm gonna take some of my hot water and I'm going to pour enough just so it covers the coconut. Then we're gonna put 2 dates. You can put cocoa powder if you wanted to make chocolate coconut milk. And then you wanna blend it on high speed for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So you wanna take a bowl. This is a mesh bag that I use to strain out the coconut milk. You can also use like a cheesecloth. So we're just gonna squeeze the bag, and you can even save what's in here and let it dry out and use it as coconut flour. But this is an old bottle from like an old almond milk that I had, and I just use this to store my coconut milk because it's the perfect bottle for that. Oh baby. Oh my God. Do you wanna taste it? Tylea's gonna taste it.
Oh my God, that's really good. I'm not even joking. I did that in like 5 minutes.
I know. So now back to the matcha. Pour in a little bit of the hot water, just enough so that you can blend it. You can use a whisk. I like to use an electric frother. Honestly, this frother sucks. It like barely works. I have to like press it in the perfect spot for it to work. It's terrible. Look at how gorgeous and frothy that is. Right now my coconut milk is kind of hot because I just made it, but if I was taking it out of my fridge, I would actually froth it. Not much. And then just top it off with more water. Oh yeah, and that is how I make my matcha. Now, I've spoken about crocheting and knitting already so much on my channel. You guys know how much I love it. It has become such a huge part of my life, and especially in 2024, like I really delved deep within the hobby. And so when I started crocheting, I started making little amigurumi, which are these cutie little guys, and I became so obsessed with making them for obvious reasons. They're so cute. But then I entered into the world of clothing, and I crocheted my first cardigan probably in like the late winter of last year. And after I made my first cardigan, I mean, I feel like it opened up a new obsession within my obsession. I was looking at different patterns to make more. I started just noticing that a lot of the really cute patterns were knitting patterns. And that's when I decided that I wanted to learn how to knit. So a couple months ago, I actually took a course to learn how to knit, and I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you are looking to get into knitting or even crocheting, to find a local course that you can take, because learning in person is so incredible. There's obviously so many different YouTube videos, which is something that I refer back to quite often, but learning like the basic techniques in person is actually so helpful. So if you're able to do it, would definitely highly recommend. It's been a couple months now and I still haven't actually made a full knitted piece because every single time I start knitting something, I actually make like a horrible mistake midway through that I didn't realize that I made. And then I've gone too far to even fix it. And so I just become frustrated and I rip it all back. But I've really made it a focus of mine to really learn how to knit properly and learn how to fix my mistakes. These are my gloves. That I've been making now for 2 weeks. This is as far as I've gone, but look at how gorgeous and perfect she is. And that's because every time I make a mistake, I learn how to fix it. But they're the penny gloves from Petite Knit if you wanna try out the same pattern as me. I also wanted to quickly show you my Tunisian crochet balaclava that I made because it's truly my greatest creation. Tunisian crochet is almost like a hybrid kind of between knitting and crocheting, and it's another newer technique that I learned, and it's definitely way quicker than knitting because I made this in probably about a week, and it's literally incredible. Look at this, and it's so warm and so comfy, and it looks so professional. I love it so much. All of this to say, crocheting and knitting has become a hobby that has really stayed in my life and become such an important part of my life and has made my day-to-day just so much better. So when I'm trying to relax, instead of doom scrolling or watching TV, I'm listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook and knitting or crocheting. And it's just become a part of my day that I really look forward to. And I'm even learning patience when it comes to knitting because I am a very impatient person and I'm learning how to take my time and do things properly. So the products that have really been a key part of my knitting and crochet journey are obviously my knitting and crocheting tools. So I wanted to recommend my knitting needle set because it's so good. It's a set from Gu, and it's awesome because it's actually interchangeable needles and the quality of the needles are so great. And then for crochet, my favorite hooks are the clover hooks. I have like all the sizes in these. So 10 on 10 would recommend crocheting and knitting and the Gu and the clover tools. So I read a lot this year. Reading has always been a huge part of my life, but I feel like in 2024, I really took it very seriously and I really religiously read every single night before going to sleep. Similar to crocheting and knitting, it's just good for my mind. So I thought I would show you guys some of my favorite books that I read throughout the year. Please know that I'm horrible at summarizing books, but I'm just gonna give you guys my recommendations and I'll link them down below for you to check out. One of the more recent books that I just finished, which is very fresh on my mind, is All Fours by Miranda July. This was such an incredible read. It literally made me laugh out loud. The writing style, everything about this, it was such an enjoyable read and I read it so quickly. So this is probably one of my #1 reads of the year. Night Bitch was also a really crazy read. I actually just saw today that they're actually making a movie on this book. As I was reading it, I actually said to myself, oh, this would be really interesting as a movie. The writing style for this is super unique, very different from anything else I've ever read. You actually don't even ever learn the names of any of like the main characters, even the protagonists in this book. A little bit quirky. There is one scene in the book that I literally had to skip over, which I don't think I've ever done because it was so disgusting, honestly. And when I was reading reviews, a lot of people said the same thing. But even with that, it was just such an interesting read. And because it's gonna be a movie this year, definitely worth checking out. Some other really interesting reads were Interesting Facts. Oh God. Oh my God. I did not plan that, I promise. I probably was using this book to like take photos with my bookmarks, but these are my bookmarks from Jamie Paige Doodles. That's really hilarious. Wow. Check out Jamie Paige Doodles bookmarks. As I was saying, Interesting Facts About Space was another really funny, really quirky book. Worry, I honestly don't remember the storyline of this book that much, but I do remember enjoying the read. Chrysalis is another really great read. I actually don't remember if I read this in 2024 or in 2023, but I'm just gonna give you the recommendation anyway because it was awesome. And those are some of my favorites from the year. Obviously, a huge part of my life is creating content. So when I find a tool that actually makes creating content easier, it is life-changing. And one of the tools that has made my content creating life just so much better is this tiny little camera. So this camera is called the DJI Osmo. This camera has just made creating content for Instagram and even for these types of videos and vlogs just so much fun because it's so teeny tiny and portable. It's also self-stabilizing, so I can just move around however I want and you are not gonna get nauseous. And I love that I could film for YouTube and film horizontally like this. And then by just turning the screen, I'm able to film vertically for Instagram. I also love that I can film what's in front of me, and then with a quick touch of a button, I can film selfie mode as well. In 2024, I just feel like I had so much fun trying out different types of content, especially on Instagram. And this camera has a lot to do with it because it just made filming in public way less intimidating because it's so small and discreet with super smooth footage and just really high quality video. I've been creating content now going on 12 years and I have tried so many different types of equipment and cameras, and this is by far one of my favorite cameras that I've ever used. So Notion is another big tool that I use in my workflow and in my work life. And it's been part of my life now for a couple years. And I feel like I just don't even talk about it enough considering how much I use it. And it really is just a tool that makes my workflow so much more seamless. I don't even know how to describe what Notion is. So what is Notion? Notion is a web-based tool that helps users organize and create notes, tasks, wikis, and databases. So it's essentially like a single space where you can write out your ideas, you can plan out your schedule, you can write notes for whatever you have going on. And I have a lot going on. I have 2 businesses that I run and I'm constantly having like a trillion things running through my mind, and Notion has become that tool for me. Without getting too into it, because I feel like I could probably make a whole video about my Notion database, although it's really not that complicated. I essentially have 3 different dashboards: my personal, my Jamie Paige Beauty, which is like all of my content creation stuff, and my Jamie Paige Doodles dashboard. And for example, in my Jamie Paige Beauty dashboard, I have all of my product links that I link to often so I can refer back to them really quickly. I have all my content ideas, I have my content calendar. I even have a place where I like to kind of manifest what I want. And it just keeps everything super organized. Even for this video, I organized the entire thing on Notion. So Notion is a tool that I have been using for a long time and I will absolutely continue to use in 2025. All right, we made it outside. So let's talk about running, because running in 2024 really did become a huge part of my life. I started running back in February when my sister texted me and told me that she was going to be doing a half marathon and asked me if I wanted to do a 10K at the same time. And let's just say, like, I am not a runner. I've never been a runner. I've always hated running, and I don't know what came over me, but I said yes. So I started training in weather that looked exactly like this. It was midwinter, it was super cold, and then I actually did my full 10K in May. I grew up not really being like a super sporty person, so I never really competed in anything ever. So it was the first time that I really dedicated myself to a sport. So my run really sparked my love for running, and I decided that I wanted to continue training and actually run a half marathon in the fall. One of the things that I incorporated into my training, which honestly made the biggest difference, was my Garmin watch. When I started training for the half marathon, I wanted to take it a little bit more seriously. I decided to invest in a watch that was specifically really for running, and it was my favorite tool because it just did exactly what I needed it to do. It tracked all of my runs, gave me so much data that I was able to go off of. And as you can see, I do really like some good data. So I actually injured myself midway through my training for my half marathon, and I didn't actually get to complete it, which really sucked. And even though I injured myself from running, I still really do hold running very close to my heart, because it really just showed me how strong I am and how I can do things that I've always told myself that I actually couldn't do. Something that I'm excited to bring into 2025 because my injury is almost completely better, which is so exciting. So I can't wait to get back into running in a healthy way, because the reason I got the injury is because I wasn't really training myself properly, and now I know much better, and I absolutely will not be doing that moving forward. But all to say, running as a whole was something that I discovered in 2024 that changed my life, and the Garmin was a tool that I used with my running that I really do feel like just made my runs even more enjoyable. A podcast that I discovered this year that I am so thankful that I discovered because it has brought so much joy into my life is Giggly Squad. So Giggly Squad is hosted by Paige and Hannah burner. Oh my God, they are the most iconic duo. I cannot even tell you how many times one of their podcast episodes have made me just simply die with laughter. Paige and Hannah just always talk about things that are so relatable. There's been so many days that I've been in just absolutely horrible moods, and the only thing that makes me feel better is, well, Gus, my cat, but also Giggly Squad. Like, no matter what mood I'm in, I will turn on one of their episodes and I will just giggle away with them. One of my biggest wishes for 2025 is to see them live. I would absolutely love that. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I'm putting it in my manifestations. Yeah. And also, like, the fact that they love cats as much as I love cats makes me love them even more, so. And that's it. Those are all the things that I brought into my life, or I guess already had in my life in 2024 that made my life better. Hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not yet part of the fam and would like to see more videos like this. Hit the like button and comment down below and let me know some things that you brought into your life in 2024 that you feel actually made it better. I would love to get some good recommendations going in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.